Good morning, or well, good afternoon, everyone. I see participants are slowly coming in, and I think it's the time to start with the webinar. This is Arianna from the RSP, where I'm sector lead for aviation. And today's webinar is about the Ethiopia's biofuel sector. What's next? It is a really We've been looking forward to this webinar for a while so that we can showcase our work in Ethiopia, and especially the information and insight that we developed in collaboration with local stakeholders to look at how we can support the Ethiopia in developing a sustainable biofuel sector in the future. So the agenda for today, we will have approximately 45 minutes of presentation. I will give a brief introduction about the RSP. I know many of you who are on the call are already familiar with the RSP, but many of you also are not. So I'll provide really just a few slides to introduce you about the RSP and our work in Ethiopia. And then I'll give the floor to Dr. Abubeker Yimam. He's a PhD and professor at the Addis Ababa University Institute of Technology. He's been advising government on biofuels for a number of years, and he's also proactively participating in the SAF roadmap development process in Ethiopia. So he's going to give us some of his insight into these. And then lastly, the last section will be managed by our Ethiopia project manager, Yitatek. He's been working for the RSP for almost 2 years, based in Addis Ababa, and he's going to provide you an overview of the Ethiopia's biofuel sector today and the future. So you are most welcome to send any questions you may have using the chat box. We have a Q&A chat box that you can find in your menu line. And throughout the presentation, you're welcome to write in your questions, and then we will provide some time at the end to answer these questions live. And any of the questions that will not be answered live will be followed up via email. Also, a quick note about the fact that the webinar is being recorded. So I'm going to start with a welcome, with an introduction. So just very briefly about the RSP. RSP stands for Roundtable on Sustainable Biomaterials. We are a global multi-stakeholder organization that work with our member community to drive our best-in-class sustainability standard within the bioeconomy sector. And we are a mission-driven organization, so our goal is really to ensure that the bioeconomy achieve its promise, so that it delivers a world of positive impacts, a world where we leave as much fossil in the ground, we achieve maximum circularity, we also achieve the Paris Climate Agreement goals, and also that we promote human and labor rights, and very important, food security, access to water, and productive and healthy ecosystems. Our key sectors, we work in both the energy and materials fields. So in the energy sector, we work in aviation, especially in sustainable aviation fuels, and this has also been the main focus of our work in Ethiopia. But we also work in ground transport, so biofuels for ground transport, as well as shipping, in bioenergy, so using of biomass and other feedstock for electricity production or process heating, and then chemicals and polymers, so more your bioplastics, as well as textiles and fibers. So the work we do, everything we do is driven by our principles and criteria. This is the way we really work, and the tool we provide to the sector to make sure that the products and supply chains achieve true sustainability. So what is important here to note is that RSP certification and RSP services and support aims to ensure that we have that we protect ecosystems, that we ensure that there's soil quality, water, water protection, but also food security, as well as greenhouse gas emissions reductions. We work in many different ways with the sector. We provide certification for products, for example, biofuel products, sorry, or material products. We also provide technical advice to companies and governments and partnerships, like, for example, sorry about that, sustainability risk assessments or feedstock assessments, greenhouse gas calculations. We have a community of members that supports us in developing the standard and ensuring that it meets both the requirements of industry and of civil society. And we also forms a number of partnerships and collaborations to embed the sustainability narrative in bioeconomy projects. So a brief note about our member governance. Is very important for us to ensure that everything we do at the RSB is fully supported, not only by the industry, so not only by the private sector that is ultimately utilizing our sustainability management advice and tools, but also by civil society sector. So here we want to show how important it is for us to have social and environmental NGOs as part of our member governance, as well as UN government and research institutes. This is a snapshot of our members. We have a number of members from the aviation sector. Actually, about a third of RSP members are from the aviation sector. RSB has been working in a number of countries in partnerships with different funders and partners. In Ethiopia, we've been working in collaboration with Boeing and also with the support of WWF South Africa in a project called Fueling the Sustainable Bioeconomy. So this project has been started in 2018. We hosted, we hosted a RSB Aviation Biofuel Summit in Addis. This was really the first time we engaged with the Ethiopian stakeholder community or the Ethiopian biofuel community. And on that day, we also signed a MOU with government where we agreed that we would work together with government and with stakeholders to support the development of sustainable biofuels in the country. We also supported, this work was done by WWF South Africa, a feedstock assessment which looked at technical potential of key biofuel feedstocks in the whole sub-Saharan region, but it also provided insight into what is the technical potential for some biofuel feedstocks in Ethiopia. In 2019, we benchmarked the RSB standard with local legislation. Dr. Abubeker supported us in understanding the biofuel sector and providing a contextual analysis of the sector, and we established the SAF steering committee, SAF standing for Sustainable Aviation Fuel. The steering committee is really the heart of what we are doing in Ethiopia. Is a multi-stakeholder committee that includes all the relevant stakeholders from government and private sector and experts that can provide oversight and guidance into the work that we are doing to make sure that our advice and our project really meets the needs of the Ethiopian community. And here it's also very important to see the relevant government sectors being involved, as well as the national airline. This year, we brought stakeholders together in a scenario development process, which is really what we are going to, the results of which we are going to present today. And we also, together with the steering committee, developed a roadmap outline for sustainable aviation fuels and a terms of reference. And next year will be dedicated to developing the SAF roadmap. And what is important here is that sustainable aviation fuel development and all the research and advice that is going into sustainable aviation fuels really can inform the overall biofuel sector as well. So that's it for me. And I'll hand over now to Dr. Abubeker Yimam, who is part of our steering committee, who will tell you a little bit more about our SAF development process. And here I'll stop sharing, and Yitatek, you can go ahead sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Arianna. There you go. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Dr. Abubeker, if you are still there, would you please proceed with the Ethiopian SAF development roadmap development process, which I think you are part of it. Dr. Abubeker? You're on mute. You can, okay. Are you there, Dr. Abubeker?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, introduce yourself and proceed with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Yitatek. So I will talk about a little bit regarding the SAF roadmap development process. As already mentioned by Arianna, we started this SAF roadmap development process in 2018 because it's Ethiopia is identified as one of the most suitable countries for SAF development. Even recently, the report by WWF indicate that sustainable aviation fuel development in Ethiopia will have huge opportunity. So based on that, a project is launched to promote this opportunity. We have, as already mentioned, the first African Aviation Biofuel Summit in 2018. And also after that, different tasks such as, for example, signing. We also did a kind of contextual analysis regarding biofuel. So the report policies in Ethiopia and also the market trend, the current status, the challenge. So it indicates, for example, whether the strategy we already have consider the sustainability dimensions, such as the social, the environment. So there was also a SWOT analysis on the report. I think you can get the full document from RSD. In line with this, two committees, these are representative of the key states, the government, such as Ethiopian Biofuel Corporation, Ministry of Industry, and also private investors, and also universities and research institutes. After that, I think in 2020 January, we sustainable biofuel scenario development works. To tell you what was, I will give you a brief summary. Can you share this? The next slide, please. Next slide, please. Hello. Yes. Thank you. So from government, private investors, and NGOs, and also universities and research institutes, we discuss the current status of biofuel in Ethiopia, the challenge, for example, observed during the feedstock production, during also processing biofuel crops. So there was an excellent discussion, and also we share knowledge. We share, for example, knowledge. For example, there were like feedstock growers, so they share, for example, the challenge and also the logistics, and also
Abubakar, your connection is
policy
not very good.
side. We discussed this, I think, for biofuel policies and strategies. Even if hello, what about now?
Dr. Abubeker, thank you very much. I think the connection it's really, the line is really not good. So what I suggest, thank you very much for your contribution. And what I suggest, Yitatek, why don't you go ahead and take over from your slide, and maybe you can also please put in full screen mode. Thank you.
So there was like in-depth review of the country's policy.
Dr. Abubeker, the line is a bit not good, so I'll proceed with the Ethiopia biofuel sector today. And
okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Please go ahead, Yitatek.
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to discuss on the Ethiopia biofuel sector today in the first session, and then we'll proceed with the biofuel sector, the scenario report findings, which was held in early this year in January. Just hold on, I'm just having a glitch a bit here. Just hold on. Just hold on. Just hold on to me. I think.
Yitatek, I'm gonna share my screen.
Oh, maybe that's better, right? Okay, let me just hold on.
Or maybe you can share it as is right now and just go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, you can go ahead. Let's please continue.
Okay. Just to give you a brief profile on Ethiopia, for those of you who are not familiar with Ethiopia, Ethiopia is located at the Horn in the East Africa, with a total population of 120 million. Our economy is predominantly agriculture, with 80% of the population being engaged. Even though we have a rich history of 3,000 years, our economy is not that impressive, with a GDP of 84.36 billion USD, and the GDP growth rate is about 10.7% as of 2017. In terms of the aviation sector, I think Arianna and Abubakar have mentioned about our sustainable aviation fuel project, but just to give you, in terms of the aviation sector, of course, Ethiopia is becoming the aviation hub for the region, and Ethiopian Airlines is expanding, growing extensively with a huge demand for fuel or energy, which also shows a double in increase in 10 years in terms of demand. When we look at the energy profile, Ethiopia's energy profile mainly is linked with the biomass. The biomass as a source is about 87% of the total. Traditional biomass is from biomass, which constitute about 55 million tons of wood consumed annually, which is quite huge compared to not only a global perspective, even from the Africa regional perspective. 7% comes from petroleum, which basically also include about 4.2 billion tons in 2018 and 19. The annual import of petroleum is about $2.82 billion US, which also takes a significant amount of our earnings from foreign earnings from selling goods and services. In terms of electricity, only 1% is a component of the energy metrics, which mainly focused on the hydroelectric power. We also import coal to a significant amount, which is about 306,000 tons, but now as of last year, it is about 800,000 tons, which mainly used by the heavy industries such as the cement industry. When it comes to biofuel sector, the ethanol production is quite predominant when we look at the biofuel sector, which the capacity is more than 30 million liters per year. Mainly the two main sugar factories, Finja and Metahara, supplying with a capacity of 32, but depending on the production, it goes to 20 million and plus. But apparently, the government is currently focusing on the sugar industry with the emphasis to generate more ethanol from the sugar industries. With regards to biodiesel, there has been quite a significant push for jatropha, castor, and palm. And since 2007, there was a huge move in terms of a huge land of plantation for 100 million the jatropha seeds. But apparently the impact, or rather the output, is not that significant. And since then, the research are showing that not so much has been done in that sector. With regards to energy potentials, of course, when you look at the energy complex or the energy metrics, Ethiopia has quite a number of alternatives or that also constitutes renewable energy and fossil. And one of the potentials, as you can see from the slides, we have a potential of 100 gigawatt from geothermal, which the Icelandic company and American company are currently exploring. We have a capacity of 100 gigawatt from wind. Certain attempts are also in Ashgoda, in northern region in Tigray, and some in Oromia region. And of course, the most popular one is the hydroelectric power, which the Ethiopian government is currently working on the Grand Renaissance Dam and some other two huge dams to generate the hydroelectric power that also be influential in booming the economy and the energy that needs for the economic growth of the Ethiopian economy. And of course, the solar being geographically located in the equator and having the resources to tap the solar energy, there has the government has put emphasis on tapping this solar energy resource, and the capacity is about 4 to 6 kilowatts hour per day. When you look at these potentials, of course, when Ethiopia started on the climate resilient green economy in 2012, one of the areas that it intends to abide to the international commitment is to ensure that we care for the climate, for the environment and climate, and at the same time booming our economy. So the agenda of the CRGE is a strategy to sort of put Ethiopia and reduce its greenhouse gas emissions to that level of 150 metric tons per as of that of 2010 by the year 2030. So it's quite a huge, ambitious strategy, which has about 4 pillars, which include the adoption of agriculture and land use efficiency, deployment of renewable energy and clean power generation, afforestation programs, and of course, the advanced technology in using appropriate advanced technologies for industry, transport, and buildings. Having covered the overall the energy metrics of the Ethiopian sector, as Arianna and Abubeker mentioned, that we as RSP in partnership with the Ministry of Mines and Petroleum organized a scenario development workshop to see how the biofuel sector will play out in the near future. And we had a workshop sometime in January to deliberate on the future of the biofuel sector. So we have identified about key stakeholders relevant to the sector that came together to deliberate on the future of the biofuel sector in Ethiopia. So some of the experts it's a multi-sector approach that we used, and this include from the Ministry of Mines, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Ministry of Innovation and Technology, and from the private sector, we have the Ethiopian Airlines, the Africa Power Initiative that also works in biodiesel, and of course the Ethiopian Oil Companies Association. In terms of NGOs, we have Gaia Project that works on clean stoves, and we have the GIZ from the international organization that work on energy-related work in Ethiopia, and it's quite prominent. And we have also other like the research group from the Ethio Resource Group and the Ethiopian Sugar Corporation. So these are the quite relevant stakeholders that we have identified. Of course, there were some more that we invited, extended our invitation, but these were the stakeholders who were present. But of course, there are quite a number of stakeholders that could have been come together to discuss further and deliberate on the future of the biofuel sector in Ethiopia. But this is a composition that we have to critically look into what are the main challenges, what are the way forward, what should be done, and so forth. So the main purpose of hosting such a scenario workshop is to actually understand the dynamics of the biofuel sector in Ethiopia, and of course, and devise possible ways in achieving the targets set by the key stakeholders. And for those of you who are not familiar with the scenario development process, it is a process whereby we construct a plausible description of how the future may unfold, looking at the current trends and based on coherent and internally consistent set of assumptions. It's not a prediction, but it bases itself from the current issues that we have and see what the future may hold. So basically, it has 4 stages. This model and some other models show about eight stages, but the formal one is basically composed of these 4 stages, whereby the first stage looks at the identification of focal issue, whereby we discuss historical trends, laying the groundwork, and identify the main concern. And then after stage 1, we go to stage 2, where we select the scenario logic, listing the main drivers, identifying the key certainties and uncertainties. And at the stage 3, we just describe the scenario storylines based on the selected scenario logic. And of course, the final stage is more of a detailed analysis on the quality of the implication of this process. So in the 2.5-day activity, we've looked at, we've gone through all this, the scenario processes to deliberate on how the biofuel or the sustainable biofuel sector in Ethiopia unfolds in the future. So the year, in laying out the ground, the team that, or the unit of analysis we used was the future of the sustainable biofuel sector in Ethiopia, and the time frame was 15 years period. So we were looking at what will the biofuel sector in Ethiopia look like by 2035. So these are the projections that we have started our work with. So looking at, as I mentioned earlier, we looked at the historical trends of the biofuel sector in Ethiopia, and as you can see, from 1990 up to 2020, there has been quite a number of events that have happened in the biofuel sector, and of course, mainly focused on the mega trends, and of course, what happened in Ethiopia. So in 1990, we had the Ethiopia Energy Commission, and the development up to now is depicted in this slide. But what is very important in this historical trend is the status in 2007 when the biofuel strategy was developed. And if you remember, in 2007, we had the oil crisis. So countries were looking at ways to sort of substitute the dependence of petrol. So the Ethiopian government produced the biofuel strategy to create a favorable investment opportunity for foreign investors, and it was quite interesting. Many companies came in to look into the biodiesel business opportunities in Ethiopia, which apparently didn't last long. But the strategy was crafted in 2007. But when you look at this, the developments in the policy framework is that the only time that it's translated into proclamation is about in 2017. So it took about 10 years to be a proclamation, and now to be framed as in 2020 we are looking at the draft biofuel regulation. So it takes about 13 years to sort of have the biofuel sector given priority and being trickle down to be into an implementation phase. So this is quite a very intriguing scenario, which you see that the synergies and the time frame in terms of translating strategy to regulation and policy takes quite some time, and that shows the commitment that we have in terms of giving priority to the biofuel sector. After looking at the historical trends, we've looked at laying the grounds, and we've looked at who are the key stakeholders, what are the key challenges in terms of social, environmental, and political issues. We looked at the mega trends in terms of the circular economy and the technological advancement, and how that integrates to the Ethiopian biofuel sector in determining whether that will actually or directly or indirectly affect the biofuel development in Ethiopia. So after looking at that, what we as a team were looking at was the key knowns and the unknowns. And in terms of the certainties or things that certainly will happen, we identified these 5 elements. One is that the population will definitely increase, and the population growth rate is quite high. And then, of course, in order to fuel the economy, there is a high demand for energy, and there's also a legal framework for sustainable biofuel production that will take place, because the demand for energy and the prices might hike for fossil fuels. So the government will certainly look into having a legal framework for sustainable biofuel production. And of course, environmental and climatic conditions will definitely hamper our efforts to have economic growth, and that will also have an impact on the biofuel sector development. And of course, the technological advancement and the need to address that is the key certainties that we thought are going to be included in or will be envisaged in the biofuel sector. But what is not uncertain, what is not clear in seeing the future of the biofuel sector are, of course, the political instability. We are not quite sure about that. Those are the elements that we are looking at. There's also the coping or the coping capacity for to cope with climate condition, availability of water, environmental degradation, access to land. Of course, this includes security of tenure and competing of land use by other sectors. As you may know, Ethiopia is a food insecure country, so there is always a competition of land for energy and for food. So that also needs to be addressed, and we don't know how that is going to play out. Access to finance, capacity of infrastructure, be it infrastructure or human capital, is also one uncertainty. And of course, feedstock and commodity price volatility. Those are the uncertainties that the team indicated and outlined and identified. Based on this, we have we worked on the uncertainty chart and try to see what are the 2 main uncertainties that are the degree of uncertainties are high, and that have at the same time high impact to the sustainable biofuel sector in Ethiopia. As you can see, this area will be in terms of degree of uncertainty, it's high. At the same time, the degree of the impact that it has on the sustainable biofuel will be on a high range. For instance, if you look at the access to land or water availability, yes, of course, in terms of impact, it's quite high, but in terms of uncertainty, it's not very high. It's low, because definitely we have quite a number of resources for water, and it can certainly be determined. But when it comes to, say, political instability, in terms of impact, of course, if there's no political stability, the biofuel sector will be highly impacted. And at the same time, the degree of uncertainty is quite high, because it can eventually change. And currently, we are having, in Ethiopia, we are having some issues that also reflects on what uncertainty is. So with this, when we deliberated on these key uncertainties, and we have identified the political instability and price volatility are the most predominantly determining factor for the biofuel sector in Ethiopia. So having those 2 axes, we came up with these 4 scenarios, which basically outlines how the future may play out. So the green one, Timachinialesh, is this quadrant basically shows a very stable political situation and very stable politics with a very stable feedstock and commodities prices. So this is ideally the preferred scenario for the biofuel sector in Ethiopia, because it falls under both both from the politics perspective and from the price perspective. So, and then this quadrant is Yabetsira, which basically indicates there is extreme price volatility, but with more stable and predictable politics and government. So in this case, of course, the politics is quite okay, but price volatility will be the drawback in terms of developing the biofuel sector in Ethiopia. So the drawback in this scenario will be the volatility of prices for feedstock or commodities. In this section, Lipen Garagabao is a scenario whereby there is a stable price, but commodity price, but the government is very unstable with unstable politics and government. It's quite difficult to think of a sustainable biofuel future. So, and then the worst case scenario will be it's quite a sad story here, whereby there is extreme price volatility and there's quite instability, there's warlords and everything in terms of the scenarios. So we, in order to pull, the efforts are in order to pull all the drawbacks from this and this, the other three scenarios to Machinyalas, which is the most preferred scenario. Just to give you a definition to all these four scenarios is that in Timachinalish is a song which traditionally an Ethiopian local song, which basically refers to "I'm happy with you," just to reflect that both the government and the commodity price are quite okay for the sustainable biofuel production. So this is a safe haven for us. So we indicated this scenario as Timachinalish, and Yabetsira is more of the direct translation means homework, or you are very unpredictable. I don't know what to do with you. So this also shows that there is extreme price volatility, but at least the government's stable. So there is efforts to sort of put that back so that to ensure that the biofuel sector has a platform, a favorable platform to work with. Life Jorodegif is an Ethiopian proverb, which basically refers to adding salt to a wound in English translation, which basically refers to the extreme price volatility with the addition of unstable government. So these are the scenario lines that we have worked on, and the group discussed on each of the scenarios and try to write storylines and how in each scenarios, what business models or what policy models should be included or should be taken to ensure that there is enough or a favorable condition for the biofuel sector. So this predicts or rather indicates what each sector or each scenario would look like. The key insights, or rather the key takeaways from this scenario process is that there is there is a competition for biofuel energy, be it for blending or household purposes or for chemical and liquor industry, and that needs to be addressed. Creating a favorable regulatory framework definitely takes time, as I've shown you in the historical trends, there has been, it takes quite a while to have a regulatory framework be implemented. Partnership is quite critical and important because the investment needed for the biofuel sector requires skills, finance, and that needs to be addressed through partnership in order to achieve the favorable condition for the biofuel sector in Ethiopia. And of course, there is a lack of competency, and we need capacity. We need to develop capacity and competency in the biofuel sector, be it in human capital, infrastructure, economic, and technology. So the key recommendations that the scenario development workshop has outlined are: one, there is need to be raise awareness on the future of the biofuel sector, because we cannot continue with emitting or using fossil fuels and emitting carbon, which also affects our environment. So we need to work on creating awareness. We also need to create job opportunity for local farmers that are working in these areas. We need to have an offtake agreement, such as the Ethiopian Airlines in developing the biofuel sector. We need to revise the land use policy, push for setting up standards for a sustainable production of biofuel sector, because we don't want, the ultimate goal is also to reduce the carbon emission, at the same time substituting fossil fuels for energy consumption. So we need to integrate the standard component into it. We need to ensure the biofuel mandate and policies which are being dragged. So we need to facilitate a quick fix to that, and so that private sectors can also engage, and of course, and government, in partnership with government. Incentives for investment should be there. That also includes the government perspective. Ensuring sustainability is embedded with RSP standard that RSP offers in terms of sustainability standards. We need to look at encouraging research and development in the biofuel sector, because Ethiopia has a potential for one of the best or one of the two potentials for biofuel development in Ethiopia. We also need to look at the promoting clean cookstoves for the rural population, because much of the deforestation is taking place in the rural Ethiopia. So we need to find ways of addressing that. That is through clean energy sources. That's also include the clean stoves. And of course, promoting investment is one of the key recommendations that the scenario report indicated, which the technical experts have identified. As an RSP, of course, the RSP ambitions in Ethiopia is, of course, to continue to collaborate with key stakeholders, government, civil society, NGOs, to take this further and work on the preferred or the ideal state of the scenario, whereby Ethiopia uses or utilizes the natural endowments that it has to better use the renewable energy sources, and also reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. And of course, creating platform for learning from global best practices from elsewhere in the biofuel sector, and support a crafting of roadmaps, such as what we have started in terms of the sustainable aviation biofuels, and customize that to other roadmaps that we can also put in place for the government to have the uptake in the biofuel sector. And also promote sustainable standards for production of biofuels is one area that RSP can can work with in Ethiopia and broader East Africa as well. And of course, to promote investment opportunities in the sector, be it from the foreign or investors, and also having the local investors getting interested in this huge market that Ethiopia has in terms of potentials, because looking at the feedstocks, we have quite a number of feedstocks that are currently under study, looking at miscanthus, solaris, prosopis. These are quite a number of feedstocks that are currently under study, and having the private sector being interested or being engaged in such investment opportunities will be one of the areas that we want to focus on and of course promote. With that, I think I conclude my presentation, and I thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, I think you can send them through, and we can respond to it. Just one point: we will share the report of the scenario report to all the participants who are interested to learn more about the Ethiopian biofuel sector, the future of the biofuel sector. And if you have any issues or questions, you can also contact me, and we can be partners to take this up further and ensure that the biofuel sector in Ethiopia is given the right attention that it requires. Thank you, everyone. I will hand over to Arianna. Arianna.
Thank you very much, Yitatek. That was a very informative insight, and I hope all of you could really grasp the objective of this scenario development. It was very important for us to ensure stakeholders' voices were really taken into account, and the expertise of Ethiopian stakeholders, and all of these will be, all of this information and the preferred scenarios, or at least the recommendations in order to achieve the preferred scenario, will definitely be integrated in the sustainable aviation fuel roadmap development process that it's going to be happening next year. Just going through a few questions. So maybe first of all, from Jonathan from Jasper Corporation, he says he's been working in Ethiopia for the development of a renewable energy plant, including green diesel, electricity, green jet fuel, and would like to be participating as part of our stakeholder group. This is great, Jonathan. I'm sure if you can drop Yitatek an email, that would be great. We would love to involve the private sector as much as possible. So please, please drop Yitatek an email and let's make the connection. And you also ask if you can share the slides and scenario report with you. Yes, sorry, Yitatek, I'm answering these questions quickly. Yes, we will share the slides after the webinar, and as well as the report, the scenario report, so you can see all the details that Yitatek has summarized. Another question is a few questions around the RSP future objective in Ethiopia, and maybe Yitatek, why don't you maybe summarize what our next steps in the next year and a half in Ethiopia?
Yeah, yes, of course. Firstly, I think thank you for asking this question. RSP is quite interested to work in the biofuel sector in Ethiopia. Currently, we are working on developing the sustainable aviation fuel roadmap, whereby we looked at different feedstock opportunities and try to study which one is appropriate and feasible in the Ethiopian context. So we would like to work on selected feedstocks and do a deep dive in research to see how that can be translated to as a business investment opportunity, and we would like to sort of have a business proposition for the business for the biofuel sector in Ethiopia, and that's one area that we can work on. Apart from that, we also looking at sustainability issues and how we can actually integrate the sustainability production, the sustainable production of biofuel sector by giving seminars and webinars on how the international standards are working out or play out internationally. And of course, we also want to also engage in the bioeconomy sector, which RSP is currently engaged in the national strategy development on the bioeconomy sector. So those are the areas that we can integrate in, we can work with, and RSP is quite open to work on these aspects, focusing on bioeconomy, biofuels, and sustainability standards. And if you have any issues or rather works related to that, we are very much happy to work with you. Thank you, Arianna.
And one last question before we conclude. So with regards to government commitment, so how realistic is a biofuel support policy such as a mandate in Ethiopia? Is there support in the current government?
Yes, I think this is a very good question, because if we don't have the government uptake from about the biofuel sector, then it will not be much of an area that we can explore to. But the current indications are that the government is very much concerned on the biofuel sector, and the government wants to sort of put in the biofuel regulations. So there has been quite a development in terms of having a roadmap for biorefinery, the biofuel regulation, and the proclamation is now at the final stage, whereby it will be a proclamation, a law it passes through the parliament and becomes law, and the relevant ministries, Ministry of Mines and Petroleum and Ministry of Trade, are currently looking at how to best fit in the biofuel sector to ensure that the industrial parks are also using renewable energy sources. So I think there is an optimism that there is government interest in that respect. So hopefully they will abide to that. Of course, the heavy industries are also facing energy supply crisis because of the price in fossil fuels and coal, for example, for the cement industry, and they are currently looking at biofuel opportunities to curb their energy concerns. So I think there will be some opportunity in that regard.
Great. Thank you, Yitatek. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending today. If you have any questions, any more questions or any comments, or you would like to work with us in our current project, or have ideas on how to use this project to start new collaborations, we are always looking for further opportunities to work with partners in the country and in the region. So don't hesitate to contact Yitatek at the email. And again, thank you very much. You'll be shared the report and the set of slides, and have all a lovely day. Thank you very much for attending today.